Donald Trump has a 66% chance of winning Kamala Harris at just 34, with just 1 week left to go until the 2024 presidential contest. The betting markets show the former president in a 32-point lead. Furthermore, Trump leads in the national average now as well. With 0.2%, he is on target to win the popular vote, something not another Republican has accomplished since 2004. Furthermore, considering how well Trump is doing right now, he is performing exactly as he did prior to Joe Biden's mid-July electoral dropout. Consider where we were at that time, really. Everyone could quite clearly see Biden headed toward a loss. Trump was going to win this race handily, and today he is back where he was 4 months ago, even though Democrats have replaced the candidate at the top of their ticket. And thus, in this video, we will be looking at the 2024 electoral map derived from the betting markets in every one of the individual 50 states. I have now already filled in all the solid states. These are all races where either Trump or Harris has a 90% or more of winning probability. I would want to draw attention, though, 4 states, 2 from the Sun Belt and 2 from the Midwest. These are probably Republican states generally, but Trump is doing so well that they have progressed into the solid category. Starting in Iowa and Ohio, Donald Trump has a 95% chance of winning Iowa, a state he won in both of the past 2 elections, and one he will likely win this time once more. Former Ohio president has a 94% chance of winning. The Buckeye State isn't soon flipping blue. Down in Texas, Trump has not yet won by a double-digit margin, but this time he is on target. The betting markets offer him a 94% chance of winning. Then Florida. Really, this is the most shocking one. Nobody would have believed you if you went back 1 week before the 2020 election, when Joe Biden was on track, and told someone Florida would be solid red in just the next election, and red in favor of Donald Trump. That is just what has happened, though. Republicans have turned the Sunshine State around. With a 94% chance of winning it 3 times in a succession, we will now turn to the likely states, events where either contender stands with a 70% to 90% probability of winning. And we will first begin with the 3 likely states for Donald Trump. These are races where his chances have shot skyward during the past 2 months. We will start in Arizona, where the former president stands 75% likely to win. His chances are exactly the same as they were before Biden pulled out. Actually, this race was a perfect tie between the vice president and the former president just 2 months ago in mid-August. But Trump's figures have been rising ever since. He has been flinging oddballs. He has also been polling strongly. He guides at 1.5%. Every single recent Arizona poll has shown Trump to be ahead. Kamala Harris simply has not enough time to catch up with the election, 1 week away. Arizona is today a must-win state for Trump. Most likely, it is among the Republican swing states in the nation. If not the most, only North Carolina and Georgia will be rivals to it, and thus Arizona will probably show as red on the map. Clearly favored is Donald Trump. Georgia comes next, another state where Trump stands with a 3-4 chance of winning. Simply put, it isn't close. In the weeks before the election, we have seen a significant spike for the former president, same as in Arizona. Kamala Harris has no chance of defending a state Biden actually gained in the previous election. Now, the state was expected to be rather competitive, same as in Arizona as well, back in August and September. 75-25 is not at all like 60-40. Trump is hardly ahead 60-40, but at 75% he is the definite favorite. And during those months, Democrats and the liberal media heavily promoted Kamala Harris. She was quite sure she would triumph. Now, personally, I am rather clear about this. Over the whole election cycle, I have been rather constant. Trump has always been ahead since even Harris was leading. She was still performing far worse than Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton did in the past 2 elections. Georgia will thus also be probably Republican. Poll results show Trump leads by 2.3%. I would refer to this as his second step towards presidency. It passes first through Arizona before Georgia. Should he fail to secure these 2 states, he is indeed done. Looking at where we are right now, though, Trump supporters and the Trump campaign should be rather sure they will be successful in recovering these 2 states. Turning now to North Carolina, given what Trump has encountered here, his performance has been rather remarkable. Running a disaster of a campaign, Mark Robinson, the Republican candidate for governor, he has become caught in so many scandals. He's going to lose by a double-digit margin. But Donald Trump is holding his ground in face of adversity. He stands at 71% chance of taking home North Carolina. He won't be losing a state here. He grabbed it in 2016 and 2020, the only swing state he secured in both of the past two elections. Should he be able to withstand it against Joe Biden, he will be able to withstand it against Kamala Harris. The poll also reveals Trump in a strong posture. His leadership is 0.8%. Though it may not seem like much, consider it in relation to his situation in 2016 and 2020. Though this time things are quite different. Democrats were on track to win by the numbers, both times. Going to be the last likely red state on this map, Trump has never been behind in the polling average in North Carolina. We will now proceed to fill in the likely blue states. We will merely clear the most obvious ones from the path. Harris is heading to New Mexico. She stands at an 88% winning chance. She marks 79% in New Hampshire. This is not even that good, since, upon looking at the most recent poll published today, Donald Trump actually led by 0.4% in the granted state. Given more data like that, New Hampshire will most definitely flip. Right now, the vice president is still in a rather strong posture, though. She stands 86% likely to win in Maine. The chances for Kamala Harris then in Nebraska's 2nd district are 86. Thus, the vice president will most likely reside in these three states and in Nebraska's 2nd congressional district. Kamala Harris is running with Tim Walz, the literal governor of Minnesota, but her chances of winning are just 87%. We are now visiting the Midwest. Walz basically won his re-election in 2022 by 16 points. Just 4 points in a state Biden carried 7 years ago, his ticket with Kamala Harris leads in the state today. Given Minnesota wasn't even close last time around, and Kamala Harris hails from California, with Walz as his running mate, Joe Biden is still performing far better than Harris is today. He had no ties to the state. Minnesota will thus be probably blue, but this is clearly not where she should be. At last, this is the last likely state on the map, Virginia. Biden carried double digits last time around. Kamala Harris is going to be lucky if she even wins this state by 5. She indeed has an 84% chance of winning. She is absolutely the favorite in terms of winning the state overall, but Trump is riding her for her money. Actually, Trump led in the polling average while Joe Biden was still running. She once only separated the chances between him and the current president by 5%. Democrats are more likely than not to keep Virginia now that Kamala Harris is on the ballot, but it will be rather close. Over the past 4 years, the state has veered greatly to the right. Just in 2021, 1 year following Biden's election, Republicans selected Glenn Youngkin to take the governorship of Virginia, so winning the first significant statewide contest in the state in more than 10 years. Republicans thus have hope here. But for now in this election, Harris is still most likely. Now we have just the lean states races, in which either candidate has a 55 to a 70% likelihood of winning. These states will be quite competitive and realistically so they could go one way or another. Now, it is quite likely that every state we have already occupied on this map will vote for their particular candidates. For Donald Trump, North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona form almost a lock. At this point, all he needs is one of the 3 highly competitive blue wall states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Though all 3 of them did actually go to Trump in 2016 against Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden might have won all 3 back in 2020. He can most sure do it once more. He has done it before. We'll start in Nevada, where Trump's chances have shot across the past week like a rocket. Really, the 2 candidates were running a 50-50 race only 10 days ago. This is a 66-35 race now. Trump is the obviously preferred choice. He has 2 in 3 chances of obtaining a state no Republican has won in 20 years. Given that Trump lost 2 points to both Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, he is performing quite amazing in Nevada. Should Trump prevail in Nevada, the election is over, not because of the significance of its 6 electoral votes. Although they won't be sufficient to get him over 270, if he wins Nevada, he is most likely going to win at least 1, but most definitely all 3 of the upper Midwestern states. Nevada will thus be shown as lean Republican on the map. Trump has a 2 in 3 chance. Right now, the numbers indicate that it is not even that competitive. Trump's next stop in Pennsylvania is likewise in a rather strong posture. Over the past few months, this condition has been oscillating between the vice president and the former president. Basically, it's been about 50-50, with no candidate ever surpassing 60 since Kamala Harris entered the contest. But Trump has a 61% chance of winning Pennsylvania back, a state he carried by 0.7% in 2016 but lost by 1.2% in 2020, given just 1 week left to go. The polls also placed Trump in a decent position. Leading by 0.5%, he is ahead in an overwhelming majority of the most recent polls. Here, the polling has also been erratic between Trump and Harris. But as the campaign draws to an end, Trump has begun to somewhat separate himself. Pennsylvania will thus also turn to be lean red. Furthermore, amazing has been Trump's performance in Wisconsin. Just see how the market changed during the past month. In September, for example, the Democrats won a 60-40 contest. These days, the GOP leads in a 60-40 ratio. Democrats were also rather sure about the election for a bit, in August and September. They also take Pennsylvania and felt they would be rather simple in Wisconsin and Michigan. Still, that was simply never going to happen, even if Harris peaked in Wisconsin during summer leading by 2 points. Not enough was that. See where Biden and Clinton stood in the past 2 elections. Biden scored 6.4 in 2020. His state mark was 0.6. Clinton's leadership score in 2016 was 6. She lost Wisconsin entirely. Kamala Harris has no chance now. Trump leads in the polling average. Furthermore, lean Republican is the state's political orientation. And last, in Michigan, we have preserved the best for last. This is where Harris's fall most clearly shows itself. At one point, Michigan was on track to hand Harris a sizable margin. She stood 2 in 3 chances to win the Wolverine state. It hardly would have been close. Trump comes in at just 33%. This was rather precisely 1 month ago. But see where we are right now, 1 month later. Trump at 56 years old, Harris at 45 to 46. Michigan is going to revert into the Republican column after all. Based on polling, Trump leads by 0.1%. Indeed, based on the figures, it is close. Again, though, consider where the 2 past Democratic nominees were at this stage of the campaign. In 2016, Trump trailed by 7. Clinton failed Michigan totally. Trump lagged 8.6 in 2020. He lost the state by 2.8 only. Kamala Harris simply has no chance if Trump is leading in Michigan, as he is in Wisconsin. Right now, that is exactly how the numbers are adding together. Kamala Harris lacks the backing needed to land a single swing state. The number is 7. She is failing in every single one of them, and not even by minor increments. They all lean or most certainly support Trump. And so with exactly 1 week to go, Donald Trump could not be in a better position. He is right now peaking against Kamala Harris. Since she qualified as the expected nominee, he has never been in a better position. In every 7 of the swing states, Trump leads. Usually, if a state is rather close, polymarketing or marking in brown, if neither Trump or Harris have a 55% chance or more of winning. Donald Trump, however, leads clearly in every one. They are thus all marked in some degree of redness. Trump is also making headway in Minnesota, New Mexico, Virginia, and New Hampshire, yet on the electoral map, he only has 312 electoral votes. These states might possibly turn competitive in the next week. Right now, though, he has far more than he will need to return to the White House. I really appreciate you looking at. Right now, make sure you like, comment on, and subscribe for more material like this heading up the November election.